Hello and welcome back, everybody. So, before starting, I would just like to say thank you to everyone who watched my previous video, and also if it was any helpful to any of you. And I'd especially like to thank Nair and Lavanya who commented on my previous video. Your words of encouragement really make me happy and make me want to do this more. I know I had a lot of issues when I was trying to do SPDD the first time, and I did not get a lot of videos. So like my aim is just to make videos that will be a little more helpful to you in achieving whatever you're trying to achieve. Okay, so today like our upgrade is still running, and while the upgrade is running, we are facing a lot of errors in like during the sum procedure, and these errors are usually sent back to the ABAP team to resolve. So I have just made a list of the possible kind of errors that you might get during your upgrade phase. These are the ones that we got and the possible resolution to it. So let's move on. So the first type of error that you get is this phase one called as run RSupg RS upgrade TADI component check. Now what this does is it just checks the consistency of the components in the system, and it finds the components and then saves it in a local file. So the screenshot here is not as clear, but you can see this. This is the log that you will get in sum, which will be shared with you by the basis team. And this gives us a very good like depth of what is happening in the system, what are the kinds of errors that we might get, and right to the point where it will be pointed out to the exact Z or the like SAP components. So here you can see that this is checking local home objects, and it says that 90 objects with source system equal to SAP found for this, and then 4 objects with source system equal to SAP found for this, which will not be rescued. Now, when you say will not be rescued, it means that if you do not do anything for these 4 objects, they will not be saved by SAP and then they will be deleted from your system. This is what means by saying it will not be rescued. Now, all these objects that are not going to be rescued, they will be saved in this file home objects.list ed1. Now, mostly your team will share this file with you. If not, you can just follow this path and get the files. And then it will also have the other kinds of error. For example, this is everything is okay for this component, and then it goes on to the component RWD, wherein it checks all the components and says one object with source system equal to SAP found for component RWD that will not be rescued. So we have to take care of this one object. So if you go to this file, home objects.list ed, that is I've already been received that file. So if you open this local home object, you can see the objects that the file is talking about. In this case, these are the 4 objects that the log first told us. Here, 4 objects with source system equal to SAP found. So these are the 4 objects. Now you can see here, this is the R3DR, so that's the object. And this is the type that describes you what is the type of the component. Like this is the program, this is the table type, this is SMIM, which stands for MIME objects. So you have to make sure that all these 4 objects, they are rescued in your system. That means you want to take them up to the next. Now, in my case, the first time we were doing the upgrade, since the upgrade is new for me as well, uh, there was some error and we just ignored these errors or we did something, I don't remember, but because of which both these 2 objects got deleted from our system. They were not rescued, and so they got deleted from the system. So we had to make a TOC and re-import it from the next system into the system that is going on. So to avoid that, make sure you just follow all the objects given in the file and appropriately rescue them. So this is the first one. Now I don't have, since it's deleted in the system and the upgrade is going on in the next one, I can't show you this, but I will tell you exactly what this error means when it says that 4 objects with source system equal to SAP found. So when the program checks your components, it checks for attributes. So in attributes, you can see that last change is SAP, or if you just, sorry, let's go back inside and let's just take the subject in context. So this is table type ALG Gen TK RFC ABAP list. So that particular table has been deleted from the system. If we go to the other ones like slash star ALG slash Gen TK star, how many number of entries are there? 1837. Now here you see that the source system is X5B for all of them. Let's see if the source system, this is equal to SAP if there are any. No. Why? Because the table in question, this one had source system equal to SAP and it's not rescued in a system. So all the other ones have source system equal to X5B, and this is an add-on. All these tables came through an add-on and their source system is X5B. And so this one was not mentioned in the file. So only the objects that had like source system equal to SAP that are mentioned in this file. So the resolution for that is we need to select the table name, go to the table in SE11, and then just go to the object directory entry. Let's open it. Taking this one. Let's just see an example of this particular table. Now in this, if you go to object directory entry, you can see that the original system for here is X5B. And for our object in question, the system was SAP here. And that is why in the SUM phase, the sub the upgrade cannot identify it as a local object, and it's trying to change it, but it's not happening, so it's giving it an error. So what we have to do here in objects for which they get a source system as SAP, you have to come in here, just do a display, or sorry, just do an edit, and then change the original system from X5B to SAP. Now there are two ways to do it. You can do it here, or you can do it in your table SE11, or just make the change in your transport in SE10. So once you make the original system as from SAP to your like the ones that are acceptable, in this case X5B is acceptable and it will be in consistence with all the other ALG objects, so that error will be removed. So this is what you have to do for all the objects that come under this. So this is a MIME object and this is not present in our system, these two. So these two are good to be ignored, but you have to make the changes for these two. Otherwise they will be removed from the system. So this was for local home objects. Don't save. And yes, if you go to the next one where it says that one object with source system equal to SAP found for component RWD. And then RWD, then it says there's no file mentioned here, so we'll just go down. 0 objects, 70 objects, 70 objects with source system equal to SAP that will not be rescued by some. So that's a lot. And then everything okay for spin GTK, and all the objects have been dumped to unknown component object list. So when it says unknown component object list, let's open it and see what the file says. Unknown component object. So now there are so many objects in this file. You can see the RWD is in this file and the other unknown components are all related to Ariba in this case. Now for our project, Ariba components are added or after the upgrade or before the upgrade, but it's not like an upgrade activity. It's part of an add-on. So we really don't need to take care of Ariba for us, but you have to find an appropriate option for this. Usually there are notes that help you with the upgrade related errors. For example, for this RWD ZF3, we have other RWD components in our system. For this particular error, there is a resolution. I'll go down. So this is a resolution. Let me go down. So for the local home objects could not be identified, we can ignore it. And we have to include the GenTK because it's deleted here. Okay, I don't. Where is the RWD? Okay, yeah. So for RWD tables, there are two notes that suggest ignoring the errors related to that. So let me just quickly open the notes. So whenever you like get an error, if you don't understand what to do about it, just try to use the keyword and find an SAP note about it. For sure, you will get something related to the upgrades. So for in this, it says the activation error for the table RWD phase ActUPG DDIC activation error. Now what it says is the namespace RWD is reserved for Ansel Help Launchpad, and it also tells us to ignore this error during upgrade, and it can be added later on using an add-on after or a transport after upgrade. So in this case, we are good to ignore the RWD errors, and we can also ignore the Ariba errors for us. Now, there are two notes that tell us about ignoring the RWD tables. So these are the two notes. Now going back to the next one. Yes, so we were here till unknown component object list. This log really tells us like really what we need to do. Coming to the next one, it says objects found without delivery transport. That means these objects do not have a transport added to them. And those objects are dumped into this file, no tr object list. So no tr object, this is the file, and then there are two objects in it. Both of them are related to grwc, grfn. So we have the object's name. You can directly take these two objects and put it into the SAP support portal, and you will find some information about them. Because these objects are standard, really it's confusing like to know anything to do about it. Just put it in the SAP note and you'll find it. And in this case, there is this note. So what I did was just put this error and the this phase name into SAP portal, and I found the name of the name of the node. So this file, it tells us to ignore the errors related to personas no tr object list. So in this file, there is no tr for grc fnda, and which is these two. And then there's also the same no tr file found for personas. So personas component, personas base object, data access, personas here again. Personas, there is this note 2464754, and it tells us that during this phase, if there are any errors related to personas, you just have to ignore it. So we are going to ignore this file. And for the other one, there is the grc fnd. Okay, I don't have the note for it saved, but both of them are grc fnd. Yeah, there is another note for it. So the point of all this being that there are specific notes to ignore all the errors, and we are going to find those notes and then decide on what is to be done for this. So I'll try to find the note for this. I'm sure it's in my emails, but that note says specifically that we have to ignore the errors related to grcwa. And then this is the file for personas. In that there are the two objects, personas base object and personas comps, and we can ignore those two errors. These are the note numbers 2464574, and yeah, there's another one for the grcwd file. I think I have to just attach it here. Anyway, moving on. So these were the errors that come during the first phase, the RSupg TDR component check phase. Now moving on to the next phase. This is the main SHD run act upgrade phase. Now the errors that come during this time are just mostly the activation errors, Now this is again here, it says that activate table RWD global, but because we are going to ignore the RWD errors like shown in the previous note, we'll ignore it. And then there are other errors that has been dumped in this file, act upg elg. So we have that file here. So this file tells you the DDIC activation errors. So there has been an error during activation because of different kinds of reason. For example, although we are ignoring the RWD, we can just see what is the reason that the table is not getting activated. For example, in this it says that the field debug underscore keep, the domain is not active or it does not exist. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that this domain is active, and then this table will be activated. But for now we are ignoring this RWD nodes, RWD global. And then same is for use in our project. This is, we are going to ignore this because we don't use it. Use PSC1 MS PR. If you want, we can re-import it later on as an add-on. And then these are again the use tables, use this. And now this one, this example is activation of table REIS cash flow tran. And you can see that there is a Z append structure in this ZZ cash flow ATTRS attributes. So it says that the field ref GUID in this is specified twice. And because of the field being specified twice, there is an activation error. So this is something that we need to fix because there is a custom component in this. So going back, see, it's a structure and I've already adjusted this. So there are no syntax errors and it's already active. But if you see the field REFGUID, this is present in it now, and that is present only once. And the reason was because this append ZZ cash flow attributes, this append also had specified that field REFGUID, and this table also had that field REFGUID, and because it was present twice, you get that activation errors. So what you is, because in our case we are already using this append everywhere, so the decision was to remove this field from the structure REIS cash flow trans. So we just went into edit, and then of course this is locked now, but we went into edit and then removed this field. And so this structure only contains one field now, and then the structure was activated and we got rid of that error. So in DDIC activation errors, you just have to make sure that all the objects have been activated. This is another Z item. This is could not be activated because of a missing field. So this is a Z1. So we don't really need to use that, but I can show it to you. It's basically, it's very simple to activate the Z structure. So really just remove whatever error is coming in. So I don't think it's going to give us any error. It's already active. Yeah. So the error that was coming in here was that this field ZZ local board is not present in the system. So it was just an activation error wherein in this view that field was missing. So just make sure that all your Z items are activated and you will get rid of this error. So this phase act UPG act upgrade, it's all about just activating the components in the system. This one is pretty easy to do. You don't really have to find notes about it. Okay, there was another table in it, this one, and then there is note for it that to shows the to ignore the activation error related to BIC tables. And for the RWD, there are these two notes. And the use tables are from API use Pinifex. We don't need them, so we're going to ignore those also. And then manually resolve the activation error related to REIS cash flow trans. So moving on to the phase 3. Now in phase 3, this is an error that says that invalidated view cannot create synonym for invalidate. It's really, I don't know, gibberish. You can't really understand what this means. So in this, it says the detailed statement for this is something in missing name tab. This was not activated. So there is again a note for this 22537 2253979, which immediately tells you what the error is and what should be done about it. So we just put in this point in our recipe portal, and then it just gave us the notes. So now there are like different notes for this. See, it immediately says SAP HANA DB CDS view with external view as base object cannot be created in the database. This is the same one. Uh, if I go back, yet synonym cannot be created in upgrade with SAP HANA database, which is the same one. Synonym error. So if this solution does not work, there are below notes that are also helpful for us to understand what this error is. So you can take a note of these notes and then see if they are applicable to your project, and then will they be helpful to you. In most cases, these errors can be ignored using these notes. Now, when I say ignored, when you're running the phase, there are options for you. You can either ignore this phase and proceed to the next phase, which likely what we are doing. Because we are doing that because we have a solid proof that the notes are telling us to do that. We are not doing that because we don't want to fix those items, because if we don't do that, the notes will not be rescued in our system. So make sure you go through all the errors and then find appropriate notes for it or take appropriate action for it, and then you can go ahead and then ignore the phase errors and proceed to the next phase because you already have taken care of them. Another option is repeat phase to continue to the point where it stopped. So what this repeat phase will do is like you have to just ensure that you're trying to make sure that these errors do not come again the next time. So if you are trying to find some solution and you don't really get any solution for it, try using the repeat phase. So when you're using repeat phase and you come to that point and these errors do not come up, that means you're all good. But if the errors do come up again, that means they really need a solid resolution to it, unless like the phase will not move ahead. So our upgrade is still going on and we may still get a lot more issues ahead, but hopefully we won't. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. But these are just really the kind of errors that we have received in this upgrade in all of the systems so far. So I've made a list of this, and hopefully you can use these notes and they'll also provide resolutions to you. If you like this video, please post any comments telling me what can be done or other notes that can be applicable, or if anything was not right. I'm going to possibly be doing SPOW in the next couple of days. We did SPOW and SPDD just like yesterday for other system, but we were in a time crunch and I could not take the video. But in the next 2-3 days for the final SPOW, I'm going to make sure that I get a video at least describing the possible changes in with assistant and without assistant properly. So that will be helpful. And thanks a lot for all of you who have subscribed to me and to people who are liking my videos. And I'm also trying to learn SAP more and more. So I'll be posting some videos soon. Thank you guys. Have a lovely day. Bye.